And hello, welcome back. You're joining with Bob Dick, the inveterate action researcher, action learning extraordinaire. He's been involved in the industry for decades. And then there's me. I've been working for about a decade, doing facilitation, action learning, open space work and enjoying it. Bob and I are hosting a workshop in Melbourne in April on the 12th and 13th. It's called Kickstarting Change That Lasts, How to Flatten Hierarchies, Build Relationships and Get Work Done. And what we're doing here on these calls is we're initiating a series of pop-up conversations. We've had a couple. The last one that we had was focused on a theme, and in fact they're all focused on some kind of theme. The last theme that we looked at was a quote by Reg Revens, and that was, the most precious asset an industry has is the lived experience of its real managers. And this pop-up conversation is about a quote from Kurt Lewin, although, as Bob will explain, there's a bit more to the story than that. The quote is, if you want to truly understand something, try to change it. So Bob, tell us a little bit about the story behind this quote.
When I first heard it, I went looking through as much of Kurt Lewin's writing as I could lay my hands on to find out what the accurate form of the quote was, because I'd come across it in slightly different forms in different writing, and I couldn't find it. Not only that, where people gave that quote or something very like it and cited one of Kurt Lewin's works, and I then tracked down that work and went looking for the quote wasn't in that cited work. So the conclusion I've reached is that there was a community of practice that consisted of Kurt Lewin and people like him, and my guess is that this is something that Kurt Lewin said often in face-to-face conversation with the people who constituted his community of practice. And so for me, it says something about how important it can be to a change program to build a community of practice around the change program involving those people who have to make the change work.
It's a nice connect to the previous quote on the lived experience of the real managers as well, isn't it? That
yes.
Really, like you're saying, it's about those people that are really at the coalface or have the real experience of what's going on. They're the ones that are going to give a program the most chance of being able to survive and keep on going. Okay. For me, I was taking a little bit of time reflecting on this quote, and I came up with a change to the quote. I've changed it to be a little bit provocative, but I think it's in line with the quote, which is, if you truly want to change something, try to really understand the relationships.
Okay.
So I was thinking about that there's I think there's the Gestalt paradoxical theory of change, and, often the thing about your own relationship to the thing that you're changing, but also there's all the relationships, the constellation of relationships that are going on there that really are some of the things that people find the most difficult about change. What's your reaction to that one, Bob?
Firstly, let me say that I think Kurt Lewin was right in his version of the quote, because a lot of the dynamics of an organisation or any social system are kind of under the surface. They're not explicitly known, and it's in trying to change them that you rub up against the subterranean culture and come to understand it.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, because in most instances no individual is going to be individually successful in bringing about system change, it is the constellation of relationships and people's acceptance of each other and their commitment to a shared goal that's going to make the difference. So I like your variation on it too.
Thanks, Bob. So in terms of the workshop that Bob and I are running, It's about integrating open space and action learning together. And I think this quote is a nice connect to both of those in the sense of we talk about how to build relationships and get work done. And that's a big challenge, I suppose, in today's workplace. A lot of very task focused, forget the relationships, and then there's, okay, well, if you just focus on relationships, you're being fluffy bunny, aren't you? It's not so important. So I think there's a nice connect between open space and action learning, being open space, being able to give a broad group of people an ability to really find out what matters to them, connect at that level. Also, some way sort of connecting to what they call the authorizing environment, making that bigger change initiative known. But then there's the action learning component of actually implementing the thing on the ground. So that's the provocative start, I suppose, to the pop-up conversation. Anything else you'd like to add, Bob, before we hit pause on this one?
I like the way you just explained it. I think that open space and action learning between them do complement each other really nicely.
Yeah.
One for building the shared vision that people can commit to, the other one to find ways of making it happen.
Yeah, it's great. All right, that's pop-up conversation number 3. So Bob and I look forward to continuing the conversations. See you soon.